Okay. Here's the deal. Once I had a dream about riding a dirt bike for a living. Down the road I did, I had it all, pumped on my life. Had everything, man. I was riding a bike for a living. Then drugs and alcohol started to become number one. Man, I slowly lost it all. Lost everything. Wanted to die. Had nothing to my name, man. I ended up in rehab. Literally with nothing. T-shirt and a skateboard, man. Nothing at all. Lost it all. Started making sobriety number one and I got it all back. No lie, got everything back with a smile on my face. You guys, anyone can do it. Anyone can do it all. Here it is, talking sobriety. Let's do this.
I'm addicted to the drugs, boost the game. I'm addicted. Lost focus, lost my aim. I'm addicted. Living life out of range. I'm addicted. I'm addicted. I'm addicted to the drugs, boost the game. I'm addicted. Lost focus, lost my aim. I'm addicted. Living life out of range. I'm addicted. I'm addicted.
We're now listening to Talking Sobriety with your host, Colin Morrison.
We're back. Another episode of Talking Sobriety. This is kind of a cool episode. I'm not in California. I'm not in my my studio, which I call the studio, but it's really my kitchen, Cody. Yeah. And you are the guest of Talking Sobriety, man. my Canadian buddy, man. I'm sure you guys have seen me post a lot every time I go up to Canada, the great Northwest. You guys seen? I've been up there.
You know your geography, eh?
I do. I don't even know. I just spit that one out that quick, man. But dude, we have became like really close friends in the past year, man. And I don't think you know this, but like I truly like look up to you, and I think that's why I have you on this podcast for like. Pretty much, like, I do this podcast, like, give hope to others, and I know it's purely, like, addiction-related, but, like, I want it to be, like, about depression, just people's lives, and, like, and, you know, straight up, like, just kind of starting from somewhere and, like, just achieving a lot of things, and I think you're such an example because where you came from and, like, what you have now, dude, like, it didn't come from nothing. I don't, you know, yeah. Like, you're a straight baller, dog. But, I mean, nothing was given
Comes
to
with
you.
A price, though, man.
Yeah, nothing. So I guess just kind of introduce yourself when I can learn how to talk. And
Yeah, well, my name's Cody Hopkins. I'm 34 years old. I'm from Squamish, British Columbia, Canada. Basically, where are we going here? Are we talking how we met, or are we giving
I guess
background?
I guess I didn't even bring it in, dude. I didn't even bring it in.
You line it up. I'll knock it down.
I want you to explain how we met, because I think it's very interesting. I want to give you my take on it because it's one of the cool stories that I've kind of ever experienced, man. It's like it built our friendship, man. Where we're at now, dog. Tell
no
the
hugs,
people,
man. No hugs.
Like for real. Tell people.
Okay,
how it went down.
Well, I have a twin brother, Jai. He was on the last episode, or one of them anyway. We both used to follow the Meta Militia right from day one. It was, you know, the adventures of Twitch and SCUMMY, following you guys all the way to your careers. And we were young and dumb. We were, you know, out there blasting tattoos, you know, mimicking you guys, looking up to you, wearing all the gear. And then, you know, I was following you for so long and then realized you slowly, like, I was growing up and you were slowly disappearing out of the scene. And once Instagram became super popular, I stumbled across you on Instagram probably about 3 years ago. And this time you weren't pushing dirt bikes. You were pushing sobriety and your story and everything. And I had turned a new leaf at that point in time. So rather than running around wrecking mayhem, looking up to you in a negative way, I started following you on social media and ended up being inspired by you and the things you were doing. And I've come from, you know, a rough go growing up, getting into drugs and everything and turning my life around. So I seen you doing that too, and I just wanted to reach out for you more on a level, and just I figured the only way to get your attention would be to make a video. So my brother and I picked up the video camera, filmed a little edit showing you our life and our struggles and invited you out to Canada. And
I gotta cut in right now because it was like the coolest video, dude. So I think you DM'd me on Instagram and you're like, hey, I just sent you, what's your email?
Yeah.
I gave you my email. I'm like, all right, whatever. And you sent me the coolest video, dude, explaining who you are.
I should let that video out one day.
It was the most heartfelt. I mean, you don't understand, but I showed this video to so many people, like just how cool it was and like how heartfelt it was. And, I told my parents, I'm like, dude, so these guys, they want me to come up to Canada. And, they kind of look up to me for like me changing my life around. And I feel like they just kind of want to repay me or something. Or just like, just come up and see their lives. And they're like, wait, what? Are you serious? You're going to just do this from two strangers? But it felt like I read you guys. And, dude, I went up there and we just hit it off.
Yeah, it was an amazing trip, man. It was like I felt like I knew you forever.
It was truly weird, but I gained a lot from that trip to see your work ethic and to see like, man, you guys just ain't joking around, dude. Like $1 million houses, but then like I went up there and like I ain't joking, dog, about the $1 million pads. You guys are living it up there, but what I noticed is you guys didn't come from like a rich family or anything. You guys built that, dude.
Yeah.
Like from the ground up. And that's like I really looked up to you, dude, for that. And like I said, your work ethic. So how did you build up to where you guys are now? Because you guys are living large, man.
Well, we've always been go-getters, like ever since a young age. My mom and dad brought us up on, acreage. We learned how to stoke fires and mow lawns, like save up to buy our first pedal bike by saving up pop bottles. Like we just did whatever it took, and we always knew the value of $1 growing up. So we first started, I bought my first house at 21 and I saved up, and then next thing you know, I started a plumbing company with my brother, and we just, rather than be greedy, we built the company up to be for, like we rather do quality work and keep our customers happy, and the rest will come in time. And next thing you know, we ended up becoming the biggest mechanical company in our area. We employ over 50 employees now. We got into building and selling houses. We've done a lot of development, and we've started from nothing, and we've become very successful. But with becoming successful also adds a major price on our life as well.
And that's like what we were talking about earlier about, like how fake Instagram is. Like you go on, and I always say this, man, you go on Instagram and you look at everybody's life, dude. Like everybody looks like they have this fairy tale life. I'm guilty for it, dude. Like I remember like a month ago, bro, I was so depressed, dude. I was like, I'm just going to say it, bro. I was fucking crying, dude. I was like, I was at a really low point, but I don't even know why, dude. Like, I really don't. And my chick was really tripping on me, and then, like, the next morning, I just snapped out of it. But I remember, like, when I was so low, I posted this fucking happy picture, and everybody thinks, like, dude, look how good he is. Yeah. But you don't know me, dude. Like, and everybody's like that. Nobody's going to post when they're on drugs or when they're fucking depressed. Yeah. It's all fake, dude. And I think a lot of, let's just be real. We've been talking like you're kind of going through a little bit of depression, but everything.
Yeah, I've been going through it pretty heavy lately. It's been something I've struggled with for a long time, but with success becomes more problems, and with more money becomes more problems. And everybody sees my big house at the top of the hill, and they see all the nice things I have, and they don't realize the pressure that it takes to maintain those things. They don't realize that I have 50 families to feed, and I'm owed millions of dollars, and I have to carry all this at night. And, like, there's so many more things that come to just having that nice truck and that nice car. And people only look from the outside. They don't bother looking in. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it just seriously comes to that much where I can break down. I'm always chasing the next thing that I'll think make me happy, but it doesn't, because I've just been thrown through the ringer so much with stress and depression and anxiety. I see stress counselors. I take medication, unfortunately, but that's just what I need to do. And I get in some deep ruts sometimes. So at the end of the day, people think that for a guy that has everything, he's probably got big shoulders, but that's farthest from the truth, man.
100%. I can like kind of relate, maybe not to like the level of you guys buying all these houses and everything, but like for me, like I love shoes. I like buying new trucks. I'll get a new truck, and then after a month, I'm like, eh.
And that's what it's I have a shoe. I thought I had a shoe addiction, just buying shoes, but that's not. That was just just trying to fill a void, man.
That is the biggest thing that I wish people would understand. And we've been talking. When I was in rehab with nothing to my name, I was so happy in rehab, dude. And I talk about it all the time, dude. Like, some of the best times of my life was when I was in rehab with nothing to my name. And now, bro, I value everything, dude. And I'm telling you, like, for me, like, the depression, all this, like, when I lost everything, I look at everything totally different, dude. I mean, you really never lost I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Can you value stuff like maybe how I value, because I lost it all. And
well, I truly,
life is.
Yeah, I just truly realized, like, once you set a high standard too, you always set that bar, and then you put so much more pressure on yourself because everybody expects it from you. So from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to the bed, you're full throttle. You're never resting. Sometimes I just want to go, pick up a hammer and work that 9 to 5 and go home and shut my brain off. But the life I chose in the area it's gotten to, it doesn't allow me to. So I work continuously. I wake up in the middle of the night and my brain starts firing and I don't sleep. And then, I get in ruts and I get depressed. I get really down and out. And sometimes, like, we're out here in Arizona right now. I'm hanging with a bunch of rad dudes. And the thing is, the fact of the matter is I had to get dragged here. And
you're not happy? You're with me right
I'm
now?
happy now, but man, I had 2 rough days before I come out here, man. I was in a dark place, and it happens, and for no reason, you think you have it all, but you keep on telling yourself you're not good enough. So
I took 2 things from this interview. Is that you might think, how am I going to spit this out, man? I'm just drawing a blank. When you have everything, or like all these people are striving for all this stuff, like, some people just still aren't happy. How many dudes like Anthony Bourdain? I mean,
exactly.
So many actors are just committing suicide when people from the outside, they're looking in like, dude, this guy's got everything. Why would he do that? And this guy's capping himself, dude. Like, and me looking in, you have a $5 million house, you got everything to your name, perfect family, but you are still depressed, dude. And
and I can get very depressed too, to the point where sometimes I just want to give it all away, and it's like, it's just tough, man, because everyone looks at you too, and they always want something from you, so it puts you in a corner, because you start questioning who your friends are, you start questioning what's real and what's not. You just, like, you don't know who's authentic, and you're always trying to donate and give back, and but there's so many people asking for things, and you want to help the world, but you at the same time, if you can't help yourself, you don't really be able to help the world.
What I've come to realize is, after getting sober, is after being just 100% honest, dude, all the jacked up things I've done, dude, is not one person since I've been out of rehab has come up and be like, how did you do that, dude? Or why would you do that? Everybody's praising me, I mean, for being open, and all these people are coming up to me like with their issues. Nobody's perfect, dude, but nobody's going to go on Instagram and post when they're like depressed or when they're addicted to drugs. They're just going to post happy shit. So everybody has problems, but you are going to counseling. You're doing like what you have to do, and I'm really proud of you, man.
Yeah, I take
nobody's
care of
perfect.
That. No, but at the end of the day too,
got issues.
I almost want to start a little wave, man, where you just like, you put it out there on Instagram and you show people, you make a post and you give everybody your negative outcome. I did it for entering the new year. And
let's just be real. What you told me on the way here.
Tell people what you struggle with. Take a photo of something that's not always positive, and and life's not all rainbows and ponies, man. Like,
I'm doing that, dude.
And some people can get a better inside of you sometimes, because when you separate social media from real life, sometimes, man, it's a complete different thing. Like, social media is a whole nother world.
It is. It's fake.
And people get caught up in it. And sometimes you get caught up in it. You don't know what's reality, and when you can get caught up in that with all your other life problems, and you start mixing the two, you just don't. It's harder to stay balanced and focused.
What's real is all the pictures that I post when I'm like that buff without a shirt. That's 100% real.
I know that's real, man.
That's 100% real.
I've seen it firsthand.
Okay, that ain't fake, people, dude. I'm pumped. You came on. We're at your house.
Thanks so much for having me.
We're going to Arizona Supercross with my Supercross team tomorrow, and I'm excited, dude. Thank you, Cody.
Yeah.
Love you, man. And you're a dude I've looked up to. I'm really glad that I consider you a good friend. And dude, I'm
awesome.
pumped. We met, buddy. Love
Sweet.
you, dog.
Cheers, buddy.
Sunny skies, sandy shores, we here at SOBA Malibu provide patients with the perfect environment for a safe and comfortable journey to recovery.
Call Sober Recovery today at 866-290-1166. Freedom awaits.
All right, we're back. We're with Ron from New Origins IOP, and dude, this is I've been waiting to do this for a long time, man, because we are with my good friend Jordan Burns. We get into so many hot debates, man, because Jordan is a non-addict. We always get in all these debates, man, like he goes on and on about like why can't people just stop doing drugs, and I'm like, dude, it's just not that easy.
It's not just like that either, so don't explain it like that. Go on.
We go on, we just have these debates, man, and like I think a big topic is, these people that do drugs and they do really bad things. How do you want to clarify this?
I don't know that there's anything that I'm specifically clarifying.
I mean, what we were talking about is when you do like really bad things on drugs and you almost kind of think
the chase. I do think sometimes, maybe not in all cases, but I think a lot of people do use drugs as an excuse card. Oh, I robbed that bank. Well, I was totally fucked up. I beat this person up. Oh man, I was totally out of my mind on drugs. Well, it might work for the first time, but second, third, fourth time, it becomes an excuse card to me.
But what is excuse about, man? I feel, dude, when you're on, Ron, how do you bring this up? When you're on drugs.
Well, it sounds to me like he's talking more about the rationalization of why somebody would do what they did.
I was a piece of shit.
Not necessarily like the whole addiction thing, right? So that was my point, like if you were to talk to me 10 years ago, prior to when I got clean, when you look at me on a piece of paper, and I've had this discussion with a few people, like I was going to say, when I was talking to the HR lady for the school, because I teach now, I'm a professor at the college, and you have to go through this whole thing to explain who you are on paper, because who you are on paper looks like a scumbag. And that was the life that I led for a long time, and a lot of people would look at it like that was the life that I chose, and it wasn't like that. It wasn't that I chose to be a scumbag. I got caught up in a whirlwind of chaos that I couldn't get out of. And I hurt a lot of people, and I did a lot of things that, I can't change and I can't take back. I do accept responsibility for what I did, and the way that I do that now is by living a different life today. And so I understand kind of what Jordan's saying, like it's easy to try to rationalize why we do the things we do, right?
Yeah, and to blame it on something else besides taking the responsibility for yourself and for your actions that you did choose, and maybe drugs were part of it, and maybe your upbringing was part of it, but I also feel like sometimes people just are quick to go, it was the drugs.
Dude, but it is. When you're a drug addict, dude, I feel like I'm a good person. My parents raised me. I was a very good kid. When I got into drugs, it totally changes everything who you are, man, and I couldn't get out of that. Now, it took me to get sober to realize all the bad things I did, and I'm changing that through, like, trying to get back, just trying to be a good person. But, dude, when I was on drugs, I was a scumbag. I was a piece of shit. Like, maybe Ron was, but, dude, I don't. It's not really an excuse. When you're in that world, it's different, man.
But, so, I've known you 20-plus years, and I saw you go through all of that. I saw you doing drugs. I saw a lot of the things that you were doing, but you weren't a criminal. You didn't really hurt other people. You didn't beat anyone up. You didn't rob a bank. You didn't wind up in prison. You did. I mean,
I'll just put that out there right now.
I'm not saying for you. Like,
I'm not a bank robber, but I did.
And everybody's different, right?
That wasn't an admission. That's not admissible, right?
So how do you go about that? Like, if you do like really gnarly stuff, you're not blaming drugs, man. I mean, it just takes you to that level, man. But like look at you. Everything you said that you did, like on a rap sheet, you are technically were a scumbag. But dude, it takes you
not
that
a
level.
word. I was.
Yeah, but
it's just I can't argue it. You know what I mean? Like I can't argue it, but it wasn't a choice. You know, like I really didn't choose that. You know, and so I think the only thing that I would want to explain on that is that some people do, like what he was saying, like some people don't do crime, some people don't go that far down that path, but there are some that do, and it's kind of different for each person, and there's other factors. But one of the reasons that we try to treat this thing the way that we do is because when you're essentially putting poison in your body, and that poison affects the normal way that your brain processes information. And so I could sit here right now of sober mind and say, I know I'm not supposed to do those things. I ingest a substance and it affects the way I see things. It affects the way I process information. And I can easily rationalize why I need to do this so that I can get my next fix or whatever. And in my mind, it's not that I'm setting out because I want to hurt somebody. It's not that I'm setting out because I want to cause somebody else pain. It's that, like, I cannot go without that drug at that point. I crossed that line that some people don't cross, that I wasn't able to go back on. I couldn't stop.
Standing ovation, man. That's why Ronn's here. That's a perfect, dude, you nailed it on the head, man. And that's why, like, I think this debate is good, because you got one side, I feel that we kind of lived kind of the same life. Maybe you did some things gnarlier than me, but still I get it, because drugs took us to like a crazy level, which we aren't that person, and drugs and alcohol took us there. And then on the other side you have Jordan, who's not an addict, and did he explain it pretty good? Because I'm 100% with Ron.
He did, but in my mind I'm thinking to myself, I agree with that. I do agree with it, but at some point you made the choice to do it. You know, you made it was a choice. When you decided to do heroin for the first time, you decided to do it. Yeah. The heroin didn't jump in your lap and say, do me.
I didn't fall in a syringe. Like,
put a syringe in your arm. Do this giant line of Coke, or, smoke this speed. You decided to do it. So as a human being, as a man or a woman or whatever, you need to take the responsibility that you started it. You made the choice. It was a choice at some point that became an addiction.
Right. And I don't think that, I mean, at least I'm not trying to argue the originating factor. It's I just know I've dealt with a lot of people over the years. I've met a lot of people that have walked the line I have. And in fact, the guy that we were just talking about that came and spoke at my facility recently, I like what he said. He said, hopeful people don't do these things, and I look back to when I started, and there was a reason that I started. I was seeking something. I didn't know what it was. I was trying to fill a hole inside myself. And what you guys were talking about that a minute ago with like material stuff, that drugs was the thing that I thought was going to fill that hole inside of me. And it ended up taking me to a pretty dark place instead.
So, Ron, this is good, because I feel like I'm getting a little counseling session from a real professional. But when I went to rehab, when I went to rehab, when we did all these paperworks, like, what got you to start doing drugs? Because usually you grow up and you have a problem in your life, or family, or some gnarly thing that happened in your life. And for me, I never had any of those. I just purely like doing drugs. Jordan's shaking his head over here. We'll get to him, but I know who I was, and I just got into freestyle motocross. It was like a really hardcore life. Started drinking. I loved getting wasted. I started taking pills. I just liked getting the high, man, and it just led into more drugs and just the next drugs.
But like I said, I've known you a long time, right? And my outside opinion of that is, which I think I've told you before, is that you had some sort of insecurity about being around all these people that you were around. And being sober and being around these people, it was like you don't know how to act or whatever. So you get all fucked up and you become this other person that you maybe really are not. But the drugs turn you into this, and you're all, I'm so sick, and you know you're able to conform and fit in with everyone, and everyone thinks, oh look, there's Scummy, he's so fucking fucked up, and you're like, you know, and you're
yeah, I mean that. I'm telling you, we only have one mic, so we're going back and forth, so it's not too professional. I could see how somebody would see that from the outside, but for me, I like the feeling. I like getting messed up. It wasn't to be like, dude, look at me, look how fucked up I am. I just like the feeling, man. It was way better that way. So, I mean, I know what I felt, and that's what it was. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, Ron, is there people like that?
Yeah.
That just do it just to like to get high?
It's that thing that, you know, we're talking about. I can't speak for other people, you know, in their experience. I've had many, many, many people tell me I did it because I like the way it made me feel. I like the high. I like to be fucked up, whatever, you know.
But are there addicts like that just never had any sort of problem and just like getting high? I mean, because drugs are addicting, right? I mean, can't that be?
Yeah, and they are. They're a psychoactive substance that causes, you know, abnormalities in the way that we think and process information, and it causes abnormalities in the way that we you know, just make decisions anyways. You know, that's the whole, like, don't drink or operate machinery under the, you know, under this medication. They say those things because of that. And one of the things that that allows, you know, us to look at this thing as a disease is not only like the behavioral side of it, but if you look at like actual images of brains that have been under the influence of drugs over a period of time, you can see the decay, the structural change in the brain activity, and it changes it, you know. And so you're looking at something that was once a certain way, and it's no longer that.
Because my wife, she's never seen me as a addict. She's only seen me sober, but she totally sees how I can be an addict. Because now just being sober, I go so big with whatever I do. Right. Even the sobriety shit, dude. I'm just going so big on this because I'm trading like my drug addiction into like a new sobriety addiction. And like when I go, everything I do, I go so big. So I feel like with all addicts, we're all kind of like that, correct?
Yeah,
like
I mean,
just go big with, there's no middle.
It goes back to, you know, you guys were talking about shoes.
Yeah.
You know, like the shoe thing, you know, like
I mean,
you find things that you want to, you know, you try to make you whole.
Are you the same?
It doesn't have to be a substance. Yeah. It could be a woman, you know, it could be an item, it could be whatever you think might take that away. I know that's what got me started in the first place, and it's something that I always have to be aware of in order to not
Are
go
you
back.
the same, like for me, like when you look at somebody just having a couple drinks, like you wish you could do that or something? Because I like call it like, why wouldn't you just drink 6 of them and just get hammered? And that's what I think every time.
I don't understand that. You know, like I was never that. The first time I drank to get smashed.
Yeah. That's why, like, why would you just sip a beer?
I could never understand the person that left like a little bit in the beer.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about. Why wouldn't you just
with a little bit of wine in it? I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, yeah, I feel like, you know, I can understand why from an outside perspective, it would be hard to understand.
I think the whole addiction, it's interesting, dude, how everybody like, just addiction, sobriety, man. It's
but also
for sure.
It's crazy, man.
Let me also clarify that I am not Mr. Sober, and I have definitely done lots of cocaine. I have smoked. I have done speed. I have done Valiums. I was a drug dealer. I sold weed forever, sold coke. So I mean, I've been there and done that, but I never fell into the I must have this. You know, it was never, and which is fortunate for me, I guess. And, you know, obviously everybody's situation is completely different, but I do want to put it on the record while Colin has forced me to be a part of this whole thing, that, you know, I have done drugs.
So what, what makes a person go over that line to like what Jordan, because I know a lot of people like that. They do coke, they drink, but they don't go over that line. Because for me, it was like once I had it, I had to hold on to it, like no matter what it was. When I was on Xanax, I had a Xanax addiction for two years. I had 4 seizures coming off. Then I got into crystal meth for a while. Then after that, I got into coke. Like whatever I had it, I just had to have it every day. What makes somebody like Jordan, this, I think it's interesting because like your side, everybody's got like a different way they handle it. Like what takes a person over to that? Is that just a true, like, I'm a true addict other than Jordan?
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people refer to it as the invisible line. You know, some people cross that invisible line where there's no point of, there's no coming back from that. You know, and I crossed that line.
I crossed it many times.
And there's many times, because I've faced many consequences as a result of my using. And when I'm faced with those consequences, I'm like, okay, like something's got to give. And you have this mental, clarity, at least for a moment, and you're like, okay, something's going to be different this time. I'm not going to go down that path again. I'm going to do something different. And then you find yourself back in that loop again. And you can easily say like, well, you chose to go back in that loop. And I did. I got myself caught in that repetitious cycle that just kind of downward spiral because I continued to choose to, embrace that dark reality of my life rather than seeking something different. And I didn't know how to seek something different. That's just my experience. I couldn't think of, I got to the point where I couldn't even think of life without it. I couldn't even think of, because I didn't get high because I was happy. I didn't get high to like party with other people. I got high because I hated who I was.
Yeah, but that's like one of the main things that I back it up to is that it stems from something way deeper, because getting wasted all the time isn't like this great feeling. I remember like I did so much coke one New Year's Eve. I had such a miserable time. I just said, I'm done with this shit. Like, it wasn't even a good time. I'm spending all this money, and I'm just done. I cold turkeyed it. Well, almost. I still like to do a number here and there, like a little number.
Just a little bump, get my head straight.
But you know what I mean? Like or I'll go out to eat or whatever, and you see like the same exact people at Chili's every day at the bar, and like if you're going to the bar every day and you're not going home, or there's some sort of unhappiness going on. It's not like, oh my God, Chili's is so rad. I have to hang out here every day and get some drinks. It's so bitchin' here at Chili's. It's like there's something that stems, in my personal opinion, there's something that stems from childhood or your youth or something where you're not unhappy. I mean, you were unhappy with yourself, and there's problems involved, whether it's bad parents or you feel awkward socially, you get picked on and bullied, whatever it is. I think there's something that leads to it, and that's why I've always felt with Colin. Like I felt he says differently. I just loved it, but I think there was like that awkward feeling of being around people, and you want to do it to fit in. There's socially awkward people that feel they can't fit in sober, but they get a drink, everyone loosens up, and oh bro, I love you, bro. You're like, you love me? Like, shut the fuck up. Like, what are you talking about?
But here's my deal. When I started again, like motocross and freestyle, I never started off raging. I wasn't drinking or anything. It slowly got into it. Like me and Twitch started smoking weed together. That led into alcohol. That led into getting wasted. I remember doing my first bump of coke. That led into coke. So off the bat, I started sober. So it's not like I went in there right off the bat, dude, I can't hang out with these guys. I got to be wasted. So I don't agree. I know, like.
But you went in there at 15. So by the time you were 20, you're like, yeah, let's get fucked up. I'm fucking scummy, the sickest.
There it is, just being the sickest Jordan. But no, I don't agree, man. This guy's laughing, but I don't agree. I think one drug led into the other. I think gateway drugs, whatever weed was, but weed got me so high, I got wasted.
I
That
feel
led
like
into
we're all
coke.
kind
That-
of making the same point, you know, like in different ways.
And I
you
just
know?
think this little debate, because I know I like the way Jordan comes at it and like having a true professional and like just me talking. I think it's good because I think a lot of people are with Jordan. Like the people that aren't addicts, they think a lot. I get it all the time, dude. Why can't people just stop doing drugs? I don't really know how to fire back at that, you know. But
Well, and like when you're talking about that terrible night, you know, my brain, when it has cocaine in it and I have a terrible night like that, I'm like, I just need to do more cocaine and it's going to be better the next time.
And then when
I
you
didn't do enough cocaine and that's why I had a shitty night. So I just need to do more.
and when you
it'll
wake,
be different the
when
next
you wake
time.
up with a hangover, you take a Xanax and then you
Right.
get over that. I mean, there's all these like different mathematical equations to get
Right.
over that
It's
and
a
to
formula.
feel good again. It's a formula. I got that formula down. So yeah, there. Debate, man. Let's go back to Jordan here. I'm with Ron.
I don't know. You know, I think when you repeat yourself so many times, it's kind of like let's go to drunk driving, DUIs. So you get a DUI. Your first DUI costs you 10 grand, 11 grand, whatever it costs, right? You think you learn a lesson. You get another DUI. You know, you're like, fuck, I got another DUI. You're like, so. Did you learn yet? No. I'm going out and getting wasted again, and I've got a third DUI. And people with like 3, 4 DUIs, and it's really hard for me to comprehend it because it's costing so much money. It's causing you so much headache and trouble. Like, when does the learning lesson, when do you learn? When you killed someone? You know, like, and you just keep on. So it's hard for me to comprehend it, you know? And this is just, again, my general thinking. I'm not an expert, or maybe I am, and you know, it's just my opinion.
I got 3 DUIs. I got 3. The first one was on alcohol. I drove wasted after that. The second one was on prescription pills, and the third one was dust off when I didn't care. But in between that, I mean, how many times have you drank and drove but didn't get caught?
A few.
Done. All right, this discussion's over. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. I mean, but you know what I mean? We just got caught. There's so many people that do it, and that's why, like, I'm an advocate. Like, I'll be the first to, like, tell you about how gnarly DUIs are, but when you're in the thick, you don't think of it. I know you've drank and drove millions of times. You just didn't get caught. You can't think of no comeback.
Well, yes, I didn't get caught, but I don't know. I didn't get caught.
Ron, when do you fire back? I mean,
I don't know. I always got caught.
Yeah, so did I, man. It's weird. Now that, like, I'm sober, I can't get caught. I've never got pulled over, and it's weird. Like, that's the best feeling ever, man, is being sober. It's just how I can leave a club at 3 a.m. and, like, you just feel invincible out there, dude. It's the best feeling, man. And now it's like, I think about it. Like, I was driving home from Hollywood at 3 a.m., and I just remember, man, when I was, like, hiding stuff in my truck or I knew I was under the influence, how gnarly of a drive home that was. And, like, being sober, man, you just feel like Superman out there. Like, come and get me, you know? And it's a rad feeling, dude. I mean, all this stems back to, you know, just trying to give back, trying to help out, and trying to show people that you can still live a rad life being sober, man. And that's kind of what we're here. I think the debate's over, man. I think me and Ron won, and being sober is way better. No numbers.
Yeah, I don't think anyone won, you know, because there is no winners here, and what did I want to say? I wanted to bring up, because we didn't really bring this up, and we know a rider, right? So, like, let me address this kind of. When somebody's given multiple chances, and because I'm sure that you've seen these type of people, you know, that get multiple chances. So they do drugs, they commit crimes, they do all this stuff, and it's not once, it's not twice, you know, it's like 10 times they go into rehab, they come out, you know, they get out, they go back into rehab. You're doing everything you can to bend over backwards to help these people and change them, and then they just, you know, do something where they commit some serious crime, and, you know, they're all fucked up or whatever. Now they wind up in prison or whatever, you know, after what point do you feel like you cannot help this person? Like there is no help, because bottom line, no matter what any of us say, it's up to the person to change, right? To hit the rock bottom or
I don't know that I would. I mean, it is, the person has to want to change for sure, right? And so I guess my take on that would be, if I'm having a conversation with somebody and I'm trying to tell them, kind of like what you were saying, from an outside perspective, this is what I see. I don't see it like that. I see it like this. This is a problem. And if I'm making the argument that this is a problem, this is a perpetual problem for you, you continue to do this, but that person doesn't see it as a problem, then it's not a problem. If I'm arguing that this is a problem, right, and the person that I'm arguing that with doesn't see it as a problem, it doesn't matter what I see. Because if they can't see it, then it isn't a problem. And if it isn't a problem, then the solution that I propose isn't going to work, you know? And that's what I run into a lot, right? And I try to explain to my guys, I'm like, listen, man, I'm not telling you that I have all the answers. I'm not telling you that I have it all figured out. But I'm telling you that I know that if I continued the way that I was, that I would be gone, you know? And I've had legit confirmation from like my cardiologist and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, you know, you got clean when you were supposed to, or you'd be toast. And if somebody would have gone back and said, there's going to come a day where you're going to sit down across from a doctor after you have a heart attack when you're clean, and he's going to tell you that this is something that happened as a result of your using, first of all, I'd be like, my heart's good. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not that guy. Because we always think that we're different, right? In that moment, we always think that we're different. We always think that our situation's a little bit different. We always think that somebody else doesn't quite understand our situation. And at least that was my experience. I never thought anybody really understood me. And so if you don't understand me, how can you actually help me?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know? I just had a very good friend pass away back in May. And I tried to get Colin to talk to him as well. And I think it's okay to mention who he is, Brian Swank. He was a two-time Supercross champion. He was a good friend. And, you know, he lived in Florida, and I was in California. Talked to him all the time, you know, tried to convince him, like, you know, you're not this bad person. You know, you need to stop drinking. Your life will be better, you know. But you talk till you're blue in the face, and you feel hopeless, you know, because especially the separation between, you know, the states, being in California and Florida, you can't be there for him. You can only talk to him on the phone and support him. But, you know, and we watched him. That's what he did. He basically did what you just said, basically, where the doctors told him, if you have another drink, you're going to die. And I think at that point, that's when he got scared. And he kind of went clean, but it was like too little too late, you know, and he ended up dying of liver failure. And just, you know, it's just a real bummer, because you feel,
that's tragic.
You know, your friend died, and this guy is actually a fucking legend, you know, in the motocross world. And, you know, you try and talk to him till you're blue in the face about that he's got so many people out there that care about him. He's got fans. But there's something inside.
Yeah, but go back to like what you were saying a few minutes ago, remember, where you're like, sometimes it's like it originates somewhere else. And so because of that, you know, it's kind of like when we were talking about depression, like earlier, you can try to like tell somebody, you know, something, but to be that person and to have that inside. I tell people all the time, you have no idea how many people care about you and support you and love you and everything else. And they're consumed within their own darkness, you know, and they're consumed within it's you know, it's hard to get out of that place, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, what you're describing is the outside occurrence of the powerlessness that the addict themselves experiences on the inside, if that makes sense. That's what I hear you describing anyways. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, But when you talk about that, it reminds me of so many families, so many parents I've talked to that have lost their children to this thing. And so many people that I personally, become close to over the years, and they're gone, and they didn't deserve to go that way. They deserve so much better. And you try to tell them, like, you have no idea how much you deserve more than this. And I know it, and you know it, but just, you can't get through that armor, and it's, I don't know. I mean, does that make sense? Like the outward powerlessness that we feel internally, that's like the best way that I could think of to describe it. Does that make sense? Because you know what I'm talking about, like on the powerlessness side, right?
100%.
Right. And so like families, they're just like, because as a parent, you're like, this is my kid or this is my brother, and I want to help him, and I want him to like pull himself out of this. He deserves more than that. And you can't. You don't actually have the power to make somebody change, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But
I do think some people enable, like when you're talking about their kids,
absolutely.
They enable it. I mean, and
absolutely.
Sometimes the sad truth is you need to pull the plug and talk. It's kind of where Colin goes back to, where you wound up. You do have nothing, and there isn't anyone supporting you.
Yeah.
So like, it's time for you to either, pull it together or, face the consequences, I guess.
Or ride it out, right?
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Dude,
that's heavy.
I think we covered a lot, man. This was a really good debate. I just like listening to Ron like a true professional, because like I say, I try and do this just to try and give my story, but I always tell people like, some things that I don't say, maybe somebody else that's going to come on here is going to say something that's going to click in someone's head. And dude, you're a true professional. And I tell this a lot to you, but I truly look up to you, man, for everything you're doing in the sobriety community and owning this rehab. And I think like we've said a lot tonight, but I want to get you on another episode and just kind of hear your whole story, how you got here. So we're going to get you on in the future, because I'm excited to hear your story. But dude, tonight was rad. I mean,
well, thanks, Colin. I really appreciate that.
Go back to doing some numbers.
Thank you,
man. Thank you, Ron. We're out, you guys.
Later.
Have drugs or alcohol taken you away from being the parent you once were? Have you stopped spending the quality time with your children that they deserve? They only get one childhood, and you're missing it. Your kids are waiting for you. Pick up the phone and call Sober Recovery today at 866-290-1166. Freedom awaits.